A beautiful morning to you and welcome to Quest Television. I am Praise Sojay. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, the 24th day in the month of June 2026, and I'm delighted to be on your screens this morning. Ifom Anuko is right here with me, and together we are ready to roll. Yes, of course, Mishak also will be joining us shortly. But let's get into the conversation that we have in this morning. It's about security, as it is the most important conversation right now in Nigeria. Let's begin with what the United States has said, where they have designated a Nigerian national and three companies operating in the country as alleged financial facilitators of activities linked to terrorist groups, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. They were designated in the latest action, which targeted a total of three individuals and six entities accused of facilitating the movement of funds for ISIS operations globally. In a statement issued on Monday and cited on Tuesday, the U.S. Department of State spokesman, that is Thomas Piggott, said designations cut across France, Syria, Turkey, and Nigeria, and it described the network as one that enables ISIS to move money quickly across borders without being detected. And apart from the Nigerian national, three of the six designated companies are also from Nigeria, two from Lagos State and one from Kano. The U.S. reaffirmed its strong partnership with Nigeria, which joined the United States on the 16th of May 2026 operation that resulted in the killing of Abu Bilal al-Minuki, described as the number two official in ISIS. In another development that relates to security and it's tied to national security in Nigeria, 47 sacks of military camouflage uniforms and 80 cartons of suspected illicit substances have been intercepted by the anti-kidnapping unit along the Lekki-Ekpe axis in a major intelligence-led operation by the Lagos State Police Command. Now, speaking with journalists on Tuesday at the command headquarters in Ikeja, the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Tijani Fatai, said the truck used in the operation was allegedly conveying the military uniforms to the southeast. Fatai added that four suspects have been arrested and are assisting investigators in efforts to identify and apprehend those behind the importation. Let's listen to Tijani Fatai.
I would like to let you know that these bags you are seeing there contains army or military camouflage, let me put it that way. I can see the large quantity of it that we have in there. This was intercepted by operatives of the tactical team while they were trying to move this out of Lagos State. We got the information and we swung into action. The vehicle that was conveying this, the lorry that was conveying the sacks, there we got information and they were intercepted, and those who were carrying it were arrested. They are presently with us and we are investigating. Not only that, we have cartons of drugs, various types of drugs that were moving together with the sacks of clothes. That is a military camouflage.
Yeah, a major breakthrough right there for the police who intercepted a truck carrying military camouflage. But then, in another issue that also has to do with the creation of state police in Nigeria, the call for the creation has intensified. Retired military and police chiefs have expressed differing views on the extent of powers governors should wield under the proposed policing structure, warning that while decentralized policing could strengthen the security, adequate safeguards must be put in place to prevent abuse. Their positions come amid renewed calls by the state governors for greater constitutional authority over security operations within their states and guaranteed funding arrangements for the proposed state police services. Now, the state governors are seeking greater constitutional authority over security operations within their domain and guaranteed funding arrangements for the proposed state police services, according to a report of a high-level strategic meeting involving state attorney generals, legal experts, and senior security officials convened by the Nigeria's Governors Forum Secretariat in Abuja last week. Also, yesterday, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, rallied his colleagues to ensure full attendance as the National Assembly prepares for what could become one of the most consequential constitutional votes in Nigeria's democratic history, and that is the proposed amendment to establish state police services across the Federation today. Akpabio's move followed President Bola Tinubu's formal transmission of the Constitution Alteration Bill seeking the creation of state police services. Let's listen to the Senate President.
I'm delighted to present to the Senate for consideration the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Alteration State Police Bill 2026, which seeks to amend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to create a constitutional pathway for the establishment of state police services in Nigeria. This bill builds on the significant work already done in this regard by the House of Representatives and the Senate, and incorporates additional safeguards to ensure that the creation of a dual policing structure to address our nation's evolving national security challenges could be achieved quickly and effectively to the benefit of all Nigerians. Every community knows the bad eggs within the communities. So by the time you look and you see faces that are not from your community, you will know when foreigners infiltrate Nigeria, whether from Cameroon, from Chad, from Niger, or Togo, or anywhere, you definitely know. And then you will alert the necessary security services so that they can act proactively instead of reactively. We will be proactive in action instead of reacting after the event has been done. I sympathize with the families of those who are still in captivity, and particularly our dear children who are suffering the pains of the current insurgency. But with the actions, combined actions of the executive and the legislature, from the House of Representatives to the Senate, we see hope in the horizon that the devil you see today, you will soon see them no more.
Yes, the devil you see today, you will see them no more. The last words of the Senate President Godswill Akpabio. So it's three conversations in one, broken into different, aspects of insecurity, terrorism. First of all, the United States releasing identities of those financing terrorism, and they are, from the Islamic State of Iraq linking to Syria and then Nigeria. And on the other hand, the police in Lagos State, intercepting a truckload of military camouflage, coming to the southeastern part of Nigeria. I don't know if, well, that was a great intelligence by the police. And then the Senate intensifying call for the creation of state police. Well, report has it that there's going to be, a hearing today on the creation of state police. So let's handle these conversations one after the other. Well, joining us this morning on the program is Mishak Osa. Good morning, Mishak.
Very wonderful morning to you.
Yeah, wonderful morning to you as well. So let's start first with the release of identities of those financing terrorism in Nigeria. I'll start with you, Meshach. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's a rhetoric that we've always heard from the ruling class. I've never taken them serious in statements like this because it's actions. Sustainable action have never been taken. This is not the first, it's not the second time, it's not the third time that list of financiers have been released by independent monitors, independent media, international organizations, and even local print and electronic media. And the government has kept it sealedly. Unfortunately, some names that have been mentioned are still part of this government, and no action has been taken. So you begin to wonder. Now, this time again, a company has been mentioned, 2 names have been mentioned. The government will keep sealed lips. There's an organized crime behind what we're seeing, the financing of these bandits. And when you look at videos that on social media that we've seen in the years past, narratives that we've seen, even the friendliness of certain individuals and the communication channels they've had with these kidnappers, you begin to ask yourself questions. That these same bandits or insurgents, as the case may be, have the effrontery to negotiate, to place dates for negotiation, meetings with state governments, meetings with security agencies, and nothing was done. They come armed to the teeth for these meetings. You tell me surveillance, with the tracking devices, we don't know where they are. The government knows where they are. The traditional rulers, especially in areas where I don't want to use bad words, areas where these insurgents have their sphere of contact, it's clear that the government is aware. Traditional rulers are part of it. And well-meaning Nigerians are funding this insurgency on the ground for political, cultural, tribal, and ethnic gains, not forgetting economic gains. So when you look at this, you begin to wonder why we are still where we are as a nation. And it's the level of insincerity in carrying out certain policy implementation and the political will to decide on actionable reactions to issues like this. So summarily, I am of this opinion that I hope this will not be like one of those other ones that we have heard and names have been mentioned and nothing was done by the government. In fact, you that mentioned the names, you are the person that are going to be, the government even will be attacking that, why did you name these names? Sometimes they have suppressed the names. Some names have even been forwarded to the National Assembly. So, excuse me, some members of the National Assembly at one plenary, 1 or 2 members, I can't remember the names now, actually made mention that some of their members in the executive and even the National Assembly are financing
and even
insurgency. Past governors.
Have been linked
when you call past governor, you make it look like they are too far. Past governors, they've just recycled themselves. Past governor might be in the Senate,
now.
yes, might be in the Senate, or might be ambassadors, or might be in the ministers in the executive. So they are still within the ambits of power. So I mean, the government needs to check in words.
Okay. If police intercepts a truckload of army uniforms coming from the south to the southeast.
It's a good one. I applaud to them. This is not the first time, but then Nigerians are always looking forward to what happens to the intelligence, what the end product, the result of seizing this thing, finding it out. Well, permit me to go back a little bit, to add to what Meshach said about this terrorism. The rise of Boko Haram in 2000, and now we're in 2026, and still talking about lease. Still talking about lease. They will, even the foreign aids are not helping us. No, there's no way in the world that it is not known that what fuels terrorism is funding. So if Nigeria or any country that is affected wants to curb terrorism, you start by clinching their means of funding. And because it is no longer the way it used to be in the olden days, where maybe they have a cause they are fighting, you see somebody not even being paid, he doesn't care, he wants to use his life to, fight for that cause. Now, we know what these people are looking for, it's money. Once you cut that money, see them disperse because nothing to gain anymore, right? So in 2026, and they are still publishing names. I think around April there was a list again. So it is just sometimes I feel for us, the media people, we just talk about it and basically that's that. And before you say Jack, there's another list. So bringing it to this confiscation of this camouflage, beautiful, awesome. But at the end of the day, we heard that some persons were arrested, and the fact that I'm not trying to be to favor any geopolitical zone now. It was headed to Southeast. Well, it might not be, the destination might not be Southeast, right? But how Nigerians react to what's going on with the federal government and the case of Nnamdi Kanu and his team in the Southeast. So whatever that is being attached to Southeast seems to, raise doors. Beautiful findings, wonderful. But we know that terrorists, bandits in Kanu, in Zamfara, are also displaying themselves in camouflage outfit. So what it means is that the people who are giving us sleepless nights, be them the terrorists, the Boko Haram, the ISWAP, the bandits, they have means of laying their hands on this material. Another thing I want to add is let them check, saying army camouflage, when you see that color. But then we know that our military, they have a standard when it comes to what they wear, their outfit. There are things they don't even disclose to outsiders to make you understand that this is what the authentic material should be. So we are actually in a situation that the information at our disposal are actually pointing at how we are going to curb this insecurity. But sometimes it is the will. Actually is the will. Who is there any legal documentation of the importation? Where did it come from? Who imported it? Or is it just that you just captured a truck of a camouflage? So these are the things I expect that they will look into.
I want to come from the dimension of from the perspective of us taking advantage of the fact that the United States, they're helping us.
Yeah.
When this thing started last December, I think it was it on the eve of Christmas or day after Christmas? I remember, I recall I was here, talking about I was talking about it here when, of course, breaking news in the morning. I think I had a lot of notifications that morning, of course, US, strikes, Sokoto and all of that. The headline was so catchy. And Nigerians were surprised that, such a thing could happen.
Even on Christmas.
Even on Christmas Day. I mean, the day we were celebrating the birth of Jesus, and things like that. But you see, on releasing identities of terrorist financiers, one thing comes to mind that the United States are truly intentional in helping Nigeria. But then, how Nigeria responds.
The person you are helping.
It's one thing to say that I want to help you. It's another thing for the person that
for me to accept the help.
Thank you very much. To accept the help. Yeah. And like you rightly pointed out, that there is a need for for the part of Nigeria to take advantage of the information that the United States has given to Nigeria thus far. I mean, if they have, of course, we know that money finance terrorism. I mean, we even see it we watch it in movies. It's not a new thing. But what you do with the information gathered is very important. That's number one. So it's a good news. It's for us to be optimistic that at least Nigeria is taking a step collaborating with the US to help us combat terrorism. Now to the issue of the interception of, I want to say this, that we have so many loopholes in our security architecture in Nigeria. And I want to ask a very honest question. If everybody can make an army uniform, that is dangerous.
This is not the first time.
If you recall, just sort of a moment, during this recently concluded by-elections, and there were reports of people that are not really police officers actually wearing police uniforms. It tells me that there are a lot of loopholes in our security.
Yeah.
So how do they make these materials? It should be strictly for the army. So where do they get the material from? I know it can be generated, it can be made. We are in a world where anything is possible. But it's against the law. So how do they get it? If people can just get things anyhow. Nisha, if somebody can access your phone anyhow, that is a problem.
Big problem.
The person has gotten you.
The person has gotten you. The person can infiltrate into the system and take anything he wants to take. Listen, security issues are sacrosanct. Every aspect of it is important, even to the uniform. When you see these bandits, these terrorists put on police or army uniforms, I know that maybe because of when they neutralize some of our soldiers, they take their uniforms, but it's dangerous to the to the system.
Unfortunately, it's not always like that. Let me refresh some memories. Most of the police or military personnel sew their uniforms themselves. If you go to police headquarters, you have tailors sewing uniforms.
You also have where to get the material.
Where they get the materials go to on the child. The materials are everywhere. I don't want to mention some other places where uniform. Most tailors sew uniforms because the police and the military has failed in its responsibility of providing these amenities. They buy their own boots. They sew their own uniforms through normal, regular tailors that sew native for you and I. Of course, it's tailors that's the same tailors that will still sew, tailors that are sew for them when it's contracted. So we're faced with a bad leadership system that does not prioritize the welfare of its officers. And it will shock you to know that these bandits, the uniforms from slain military personnel, they hardly use them. It is the one they sew. If you look at the ones they're putting on, it's always looking fresh and all that. So I'm of the opinion that what we and I have crying for today, it's something that has been there for decades. But the truth is the media keeps talking. Talking does not cost us anything. But and someday they will always take an action. Because that's what we always talk about. There's so many things we've talked about on radio and television. The government seems to, this road you're seeing in Uburu today was what we dwelt on seriously on radio and television, and the government came. So we keep talking. They are listening, they are watching. As you are here, security agents are censoring what we're discussing. If you do not know, we have to understand that. So they hear, and they know that, yes, the society is weeping, the society is crying. We need to understand the dynamics of proliferation of uniforms. Because a major problem of this kidnapping, people drive into ambushes because we always think, you see them, they dress like military people, they wear the beret, and before you know they are bandits, it's already too late, you're already ambushed. But you were driving towards them not because you were, but because you believe that they are military. You feel safe. But immediately you get there and see they're bandits, and they are so unprofessional in their actions and the way they handle situations. So I'm of the opinion that it's a bigger picture than we think. Now those ones going to the southeast, like if you did say it, but that was an acronym. Well, it might not be for the south. Maybe just drop some and then because because a criminal, for example, when you catch a criminal, for example, and intentionally that what the person is carrying is intended for Asaba. But to protect their principal or the people is circle of Kabah, they might redirect the focus and say, no, where are you carrying this thing to? It's going to Kogi State, it's going to Benin, it's going to Lagos. But meanwhile, it's truly going to Asaba. So there are a lot of conflicts in all this.
Okay, let's talk about creation of. There are so many concerns about, like we heard. I read retired military officers are talking about. It's good on the surface of it, but there are challenges of governors wanting more powers, to be able to control the system or the entire structure when it comes up. Let me start with you, Mishak. On this issue of creation of state police, what do you make of it? What is do you have any fears?
Well, I have a lot of fears. Yeah, and I have a lot of reservations, but I equally have a lot of excitement about it. Now, if it is done holistically and intentionally to curb security, yes, it will be a very proactive measure because it will create checks and balances in security architecture of the states and the local governments. Now, what I mean by being intentional, we need to look at the possibilities of using locals. If, for example, you are creating state police and decentralize, let the ones for Oshimile North be indigenous of Oshimile North, who know the terrain, who know the language, who know the people, who understand the culture, and who knows the nooks and crannies, the environment very well. We should not be thinking of making the same mistakes that the federal police are making by sending a Hausa man to go to the riverine area of Bomali or Borutu to go and do policing. A terrain it cannot swim, it has never entered the boat, a terrain it doesn't know too well, and you carry an Ijaw man or an Isuku man from here to Gashua or to Katsina, where it's totally alien, because policing is a kind of responsibility that demands understanding of the environment and the culture and the aesthetics of the locality where you're policing. But if you do not have these values in place, policing becomes counterproductive, and that is where I'm scared. Another area I'm scared is a lot of people that say police, governors will hijack local. Yes, but I always tell them,
and that's actually true.
For crying out, I want to ask you a question. Hasn't governors hijacked the Nigerian police already?
That is even centralized.
They've hijacked the Nigerian police. They do a lot of funding for the Nigerian police. They do. Let me tell you, look, in elections, that government and its cronies are in charge of the Nigerian police. So you can imagine how state police would be. If, for example, I'm a politician, I put my brother in police, and election time, I go to the village and I give him instruction. Where are you? Bring your boys, come. You see, Nigerians are, unless we are ready to respect institution, and the judiciary must be allowed to carry out its responsibilities. Nobody should be above the law. There should not be favoritism, and people must be held accountable. The state police it's going to take a time, but it's going to be transformational and transitional.
Well, so many things to say about the creation of state police, and there are reports that that will be, the Senate will debate on that. But then there are concerns that the Senate hasn't really looked into the legality of it. Just a committee, not the entire Senate. So I don't know how they want to go through an entire, pages of, a legal framework for the creation of state police. But what Nigerians want right now is something that can positively affect insecurity.
Have you even thought of why it is they are dragging their feet about the state policing?
Of course, there's so many things. Fundings. There are governors who are scared of fundings.
No. I start to differ.
I disagree.
The funding can never be a problem. They are funding the federal.
Let's bear in mind. Hold on. Let's bear in mind that there are not all state budgets are the same.
We agree.
Yes.
But the federal decentralized policing is working, isn't it working? How is it being funded?
From the security votes, they are funding
Let's see,
it.
please.
Majority of this.
How many of the money
Praise.
put into security vote is being disbursed by
Praise.
this government?
Just I want you to
It's
just
not
give
about
it.
disbursement. It's about the fact that this government is in collaboration with security. Real estate security meetings, they give them hillocks, they give them money, they
Of
give them
course.
honorarium.
Yeah.
That is part of funding. And
but
most times,
they utilize it.
oh man, the new 90% of the hillocks you see in us about different. It was being given by the state government. But the federal government has a fundamental problem of monitoring of finances for welfare of officers. They don't. Most times, these finances stop at the police hierarchy level, and accountability is not processed. And that is why you see a lot of police there. They depend more on local government, on state government, and local government, and politicians for their sustainability. And that is why you see once a new commissioner comes, they run to see the governor. These are problems. You couldn't have told the CP, but you come to the governor. These are and the governor must, as a point of necessity.
If you have to take care of it.
Yeah. I was even taking it from the angle of the government knowing more than is being portrayed in the public when it comes to who is causing what regarding the insecurity. You know, when we had this conversation the first time that the Senate, brought out the bill, they started, deliberating on the bill. I told you that a lot of toes are going to be stepped on, right? Because in Anambra State, for example, well, like Meshach said, if you hire or recruit indigents of a particular community of Anambra State, they know who is who. And in these areas where this insecurity is, in a Chelsea's, they are going to, this one is no longer foreign body bringing out lists, right? These are people who know them by name and they know who they are, their families. Even if they don't mention names, they might, do some pointers. So this could be a reason why it's there. Our lawmakers will consider a lot of things that may involve them and how they are going to close the loophole.
So actually you're saying it's going to be more of something personal for
so
someone.
I think that is part of what is delaying the state policing. Because if you are saying, okay, state policing is going to help us, remember that before the military rule, Nigeria was practicing regional policing, and it was working. So why is the current administration dragging their feet? If it worked for the previous, all they need to do is, how did they do it? Can we replicate that and even make it better? So,
Well,
we hope it works, though.
what I know is that Nigerians want this problem
We do.
of insecurity to be addressed.